Hello, my name is Dreena. I am the founder of Fascia FLO. I welcome you to this webinar and I thank you for watching. Please stay till the end because there's something very exciting for you, just for you because you're watching this video. And I'm guessing you're watching this video because you've been doing things for a period of time that worked well for a long time. And now you're experiencing pain, stiffness in your body. Or maybe you feel like you've been doing everything right, eating really well, doing your yoga, your strength training, and there feels like something's missing. There's the missing link. And I'm here to share that with you today. The missing link is your fascia. We have been schooled to only take care of our muscles, our bones through things like strength training and stretching, which we'll get to because there is a big topic around stretching and why it's not serving our bodies. But let's just talk about first how we haven't been taught how to take care of our fascia. So let's talk about fascia. What is it? Do you know what fascia is? Have you ever heard of it? For most of us, we think of fascia as this layer under the skin. You can even test it out. Take your hand and place the other on top and just push the skin. You'll feel this sliding under the skin. This is the superficial fascia, but fascia is much more than this. Fascia is a connective tissue, but it's everything in our bodies. We begin as fascia. We begin in the embryo as fascia. We grow through as a whole piece of fabric from embryo to where we are now. And we are still that one piece of fabric, just in different textures in the body. It's literally our fabric of form. You know how when you see someone coming down the street and you don't see their face, but you sense, you know who it is based on their figure. That's their fascia. If we took everything else out of their body, they would still have their form. We shape our fascia through our life. It tells our life story. It holds our joys, our traumas, and we can connect with it to make it more functional, more useful, healthy in our bodies. Because fascia is everywhere. There's not an inch of you that doesn't have fascia in your body. It literally connects everything. It's never been disconnected, but it connects everything. It also separates. So in our bodies, fascia wraps muscles, muscle fibers, wraps nerves, our spinal cord, our brain. It permeates these tissues, surrounds and permeates our bones. In fact, bones are fascia with hydroxyapatite. So we have different textures in our bodies, all different variations of this magical tissue, the fascia. As I mentioned, it also separates things, so it keeps our organs separate. It is our organ of proprioception. When our fascia is healthier, we have enhanced proprioception, meaning we have a better sense of our bodies in space and what's happening, our intuition even. Fascia is also an intelligent communication system. It is intelligent organization in our bodies. When that embryo is forming, there is a spark of electricity that begins everything and forms through energy meridians in our body. If you know anything about Chinese medicine, acupuncture points, this is what we're talking about. The energy meridians travel through the fascia. Our lymphatic system travels through our fascia. So we want this tissue to be very functional in our bodies. But over time, with life, with experiences, with repetitive activities, our fascia can become dense, dry, brittle even. So we want to think of our fascia having a certain amount of glide so that we can feel good, move freely, easily. Think about when you were a kid, how easy it was to run and jump. You felt like you were spring loaded and the joints felt free. It's kind of fresh fascia that we're working with. And then over time, we sit a lot. We type a lot. We do the same activities. Maybe we run, we cycle, we play pickleball. And all of these repetitive activities require the body to lay down some structure. So for me, I cooked a lot and I was doing a lot of repetitive motion with my right hand. Okay. So I'm constantly doing this or cleaning, and the body's receiving these messages and saying, okay, I see that you need a little more support. to do these functions, or we're going to have an injury. So it lays down these little fibers of fascia. And this supports us, keeps us from injury, accidents, worse trauma in the body. But over time, it becomes quite thick and dense. And then we're moving within it, but we feel like we're held, we're stuck. And you may even see this in people where they look like they're moving within a frame that won't allow the movement to happen. We want to get in there and change that, and we can do it. I want to tell you a little bit about my story because I'm now in my 50s. And in my 40s, I started to notice a lot of pains in my body that I felt were really unfair because I was doing the right things. I was strength training, I was doing yoga, I was doing Pilates, different forms of exercise, cardio, and I eat a very wholesome whole foods diet. And I was taking all the turmeric supplements, I was going to physio, I was going to dry needling appointments, acupuncture, massage, chiro, prolotherapy, and nothing took care of these pains sustainably. So it was very frustrating because I really felt like, why is this happening? And is this what everyone says is aging? I don't believe that anymore. I don't believe we age and have to feel bad, poor in our bodies, and that everything declines because I now know how to take care of my fascia. And I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing. So, what brought me to this? Well, I've been a plant-based author and cook for over 20 years, actually almost 30 years. I've authored cookbooks, but all through my journey, I've always been involved and interested in movement. And at one point, I was doing yoga quite a lot, so I decided to do my yoga teacher training. I then did Kundalini training and extensive yin yoga training. I then studied Chinese medicine as it applies to yin yoga, and that sparked my interest in the fascia and our energy meridians in the body. Soon after, I found Fascia FLO, the movement that addresses the fascia in the body to change it from the inside out. I became certified in levels 1 and 2, which are the levels required for teaching self-practice and Fascia FLO. And I'm certified with myofascial magic in action. With these trainings, I now bring you this key to longevity, to feeling great in your body, and to transform your tissues from the inside out. So let's first talk about fascia and pain. The pain model that we're familiar with is that X marks the spot. I have a pain here. Please massage into it. Please inject something in there. Please do some dry needling. Let's get rid of the pain here. But the pain point is the symptom. It's the victim. It's not where the pain is coming from. We need to find the source, the culprit of the pain, and we can do that with Fascia FLO. The other thing is that we've treated our bodies as parts, like our arm is just one part, whereas everything is actually connected in the body. So pain in the shoulder can be coming from something going on in the hamstring. And when we address the body as the whole that it is, everything starts to slowly unwind, become free, feel better again. So for many, many years, fascia has been largely misunderstood and ignored. In the anatomy lab, it was discarded, seen as a fabric to get rid of, to look at the muscles and bones. But in 2005, a famous researcher and surgeon, Dr. Jean-Claude Guimberteau, studied fascia in a human, in a living being, under the skin through an endoscope. You can look at this video online. It's called Strolling Under the Skin, and we can see the beautiful 3D matrix that is fascia and this living tissue that is so responsive, engaged. Dr. Jean-Claude Guimberteau says this sliding system is to be found everywhere in the body and would seem to be the basic network of tissue organization. For this reason, it should be thought of in global terms. And that's exactly what we're doing in Fascia FLO. We are addressing the fascia in global terms. We can also address those pain points, those issues that have been bothering you. Beyond pain, Fascia FLO can also bring other energetic benefits because we're working these systems of the body that are associated with our organs. So we can have improvements in our digestive health, our immunity. We can enjoy better sleep, have more energy, and even our posture can improve. So let's talk about stretching because we've been doing stretching since grade school. Stretching, however, is not supportive for our tissues. Our bodies are predicated on resisting lengthening. If you look at animals stretch in nature, they resist, they put their paws out, they pull, resist on the floor, and then they lengthen. It's called pandiculation. You can look it up if you want. And this is what we do in fascia flow. This is quite different than traditional stretching. With stretching, rather than allowing our tissues to have a natural recoil, a spring-loaded capacity, we begin to lengthen and we continue to lengthen because this is what we've been told we need to do. And we lengthen some more. And then the next day we feel kind of stiff after that class of stretching. So we go back to do it again to take out that stiffness. And we stretch more. And if we continue to do this day after day, you can see that we start to change the integrity of our tissues. So stretching is not the answer. And I know this is hard to hear if you've been doing yoga or other classes for a long time. I taught yin yoga for a long time. So it was hard for me to shift from that perspective to what I do now. But it never took pain out of my body. And I always felt stiff. Now my body feels great, like it did in my 30s. And as I said, I'm now in my 50s. So let's talk about what this movement is. It's not stretching, but it will make you truly flexible. It's not strength training, but you will gain strength benefits. You will also enjoy more energy and sometimes get a little cardio response as well. So how this movement works is we begin with a muscle in a shortened state, contract it, and then we lengthen and try to keep, and I say lengthen, but we're more expanding and trying to keep the resistance as we move. Just like our animals on the floor, they pull and then they make their movement. So if you think of a bicep curl, we all know a strength training move. Bicep curl is like this. We're lifting, we're strengthening the muscle. And then if we were to stretch, we'd go into end range. What this does is it actually destabilizes the joint structure. And over time, again, when we're stretching and stretching, the body has to repair with those little fibers and it makes us stiff. So in fascia flow, instead of the lengthening, we find the shortened position. We keep the resistance. We pull in as we move into an expansion, into a lengthening. So we're going to do a demo right now together to experience it in our bodies. I'd like you to take a seat if you're not sitting. Bring your arms up in cactus and notice how it feels to bring your arms back in space. Now we're going to work with our right arm. So bring your left hand around and take the outside back of the elbow and hold it. We're going to find resistance. What I call the flow formula is F for flex, L for lengthen, O for observe. So flex is engaging this muscle group, which is on the back, outside of the arm. We do that by pushing the arm back in space, and you'll feel the pressure in the cup of your hand. So resist that right arm back. Now keep trying to push the arm back in space, and you use the left to bring the arm in front of your face. That's your observe. We want to observe where the resistance starts to taper. We stop and we reset. Resist, flex, push the arm back, lengthen here, keep resisting, keep resisting. Notice where resistance fades, stop, and let go of the resistance and start again. This is how simple it is. It's simple, and yet it's so effective. Flex. I hope you're doing this with me because we're going to check in a minute. Lengthen, observe, flex, push that arm back in space, lengthen, observe. Good, we're going to do a few more. Now you may notice that if you resist a lot, it's really hard to move your arm, and that's because the fascia is very resistant. It is stronger than the muscle fibers. The muscles tension the fascia right here. They're tensioning the fascia. So how this impacts the fascia is that when we contract the muscle and resist and then move in space like we're doing, it tensions the fascia, brings it into the equation, and there's a reconfiguration of the fibers. So any fibers that are really brittle or not really serving us in our bodies, they begin to get sloughed away in the body, in the system, and eliminated. And then the fibers that are still quite healthy, purposeful, they become reconfigured so that they serve us better, we feel better, there's more slide in the body. Let's do one more. Resist back, flex, lengthen, observe. Take a roll and notice. So wondering if you can see how this shoulder has already softened down versus compared to this shoulder. And then if we take our cactus again, bring your elbows back in space. Do you notice it's easier to bring the right arm back in space? Did we stretch here? Did we do this? No. We moved with resistance, which changes the tissue here, allows the muscles to contract better, and then we can find space. Everything we do in life requires the muscles to contract, and we're always being told to stretch them. What is the root word of flexibility? It's flex. So think of that the next time you're inclined to stretch, because we're not serving the tissues by continually lengthening them. And everything we do in our day requires the muscles to contract. So we want them to have that functionality. And you can see how much space it brings and how much easier it is to bring the arm back in space. So after the video, go back and do the other side. But that's a quick demo of how you can do a fascia flow move in the upper body. You may also notice energy in that right arm, a sense of flow, freedom, movement of chi in the arm, because we're working with the energy meridians that are associated with Chinese medicine. So we just connected with the energy of the large intestine meridian, and that runs down the arm and into the index finger. There's one other very cool thing I want to mention, and it goes back to Dr. Jean-Claude Guimberteau, who of course did that video Strolling Under the Skin. So this form of movement was studied with Dr. Jean-Claude Guimberteau in a participant who was willing to have the endoscope in the back of his thigh to study the tissue. They had him do a traditional strength movement, and they saw no significant change in the fascia. And then they did a traditional stretch movement. Again, no significant change in the fascia. And then they did the fascia flow movement of contracting with expansion or lengthening, and they could see the fascial fibers reconfiguring. Then the next day, they went back and looked at the tissue again, and they saw that there was more reconfiguration that took place overnight. So with time and consistency and practice, you will begin to experience the benefits of working with this movement. Again, have you ever been schooled, taught, told about the fascia? Imagine if you never brushed your teeth, what would happen? We're actually like brushing up the fascia from the inside out. And with this consistent practice, you can have the benefits that so many of my clients are experiencing in their bodies. I've helped thousands of people change, transform their tissues. I've done it in my own body, and I want to help you as well. It's possible. It takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of time, but then those changes are sustainable in your body. You'll notice after a month some changes. You'll notice some change after one class, but then after a week, a month, 3 months, and then there's magic after 4 to 6 months. You'll really notice some big shifts in your body. I thank you for taking the time in your day to watch this video, to be with me, for being curious. I truly want to help you feel better in your body like I do, like my clients do, and it's possible. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And of course, there is a special offer waiting for you at the end of this webinar. It is only at the end of this webinar and just for you. So if you think that this is the missing link that you've been waiting for, and I think it is, please jump on the offer and reach out if you have any questions. Thank you again, and I'm so excited for you to explore Fascia Flow.